Hello everyone and welcome to another custom figure showcase, TimeLord Victorious, and a bit of a surprise one actually, because this isn't something that I thought I was going to do, but you never know what's going to pop up. So recently the BBC Doctor Who Facebook and Twitter pages, probably some of their other social media channels, posted a picture of the 10th Doctor's sonic screwdriver as it's going to appear in the Edge of Time TimeLord Victorious update to the game, which is the Oculus Rift PlayStation VR game they've done. So yes, they're going to do an update to that for TimeLord Victorious, in which the 10th Doctor is going to have an updated version of his sonic screwdriver. They posted an artwork, sort of concept art of it, and here it is in custom form, because obviously, of course, I had to make it. So overall, it is just your standard 10th Doctor sonic screwdriver. I'm not sure exactly which model this was. It's got the normal pen nib on this end, and the top, which does still work, is the UV version. So I'm sure that narrows it down. I'm not particularly fussed of knowing which version it is. But overall, to start with, how I did this was, first things first, was getting one of the most difficult parts was getting this extra bit of wire inside the barrel here. Now, what I did for that was I took apart, I removed the top section piece where you would normally put the batteries in, and then, as luck would have it, and I think this was purely down to luck, the bottom part wasn't completely adhered to the glue where they glued it together, so there was a bit of a gap. And with very careful care, I suppose you'd put it, and a very sharp craft blade, I managed to cut along the edge to lift off the top part of that, so I could then get in there, wrap the wire in, which just is a bit of standard copper wire, which I sprayed gold because I didn't have any gold wire, put that in there, and then seal it all up and glue it back up. That is not something that I know people are probably going to ask for tutorials on how to dismantle it. Again, it's not really something I can do a tutorial on, because I think it was just largely luck that I was able to do that. If you're going to do this, I would probably recommend trying to get hold of, say, the 50th anniversary one, which has got the yellow wire inside, because again, whilst it won't look exactly right, I think it will look close enough to most people without having to risk ruining a sonic screwdriver by trying to take it apart. But that was the first thing I did, which was probably the most complicated bit. Surprisingly, you might be surprised to know. After that, I gave the overall silver parts of the sonic a coat and a going over with my mirrorist mirror paint. That, to those of you who watched my Silver Nemesis Cybermen figures that I did, will know that I used that on them to give them a more mirrored look. I got that obviously from the Culture Hustle website. It is extremely expensive, but, well, not extremely expensive, but it's very expensive for how much you get. But it's lasted well, and I thought I'd give it a quick going over with this just to give it a bit more of a metallic look. And it's worked out surprisingly well on the bits of hot glue where I've had to glue the wires into place, because it has made them look a bit like solder, which has had a nice added effect. And obviously I've given the button a going over as well. The wires themselves are just bits of wires that I've intertwined with each other and then sprayed gold. Obviously glued one that side, which is then glued on the underside here. This side is glued obviously that side, and then that is also hot glued under there. The top slider piece was something that I 3D designed and printed myself, just to fit over the top of the existing slider, whatever you want to call it, which is obviously fixed in place now because of the wrap, but it does mean the button can obviously be used. And then the wrap itself was not simple, but not as difficult as you think it would be, because what I had to do for this was I got a piece of plain paper and sprayed it gold because I didn't have any gold paper. If you can get hold of some gold paper, use that instead. It will be a lot easier. But I didn't, so I sprayed a piece of paper gold. I then made up some templates in Photoshop of some Gallifreyan symbols based on the symbols that are around the edge of the top rotor bit of the 11th and 12th Doctor's console. Put them into Photoshop, created some templates, made a long strip of those all together, printed them onto the gold paper, which took a long time because the ink wouldn't quite go to the gold, which is why it's a little bit faded in places, but it did take a few attempts of going through to come out. After that, I then put a bit of sellotape just over the top of the wrap, just to give it a bit more of a shine and also protect the paint and the ink underneath. I also did a small piece to go in here and another circle to go over here, or that bit's a bit small, so I might go back and do that again later. So I put the sellotape over the top, and then on the other side I put double-sided tape, which I then, obviously once I'd peeled off to make it sticky, I then just wrapped around the Sonic to how you see it here, and that's pretty much all that I've done there. You know, that's been really fairly simple. It's a fantastic, you know, a little prop thing. It's certainly a nice little extra to this series. It wasn't one that I was expecting to do, as I said, but it's one that's come out very well. I'm very, very pleased with it. And it's nice to see a sort of different / change to the 10th Doctor's Sonic again for this series, which does just bring me on to something that I just want to discuss, because anyone who's been onto the comments section of the Doctor Who Facebook page specifically will know that it's often full of people slating the series in any way they can. And some people have used this as an example of saying that this is mucking about with continuity, that he uses this one in TimeLord Victorious and what, and then he just goes back to using his standard one in the End of Time. That's not very continuity. Well, actually, when you think about it, kind of is, because the 10th Doctor's and 9th Doctor's Sonic Screwdriver, specifically the 10th Doctor's version, has had so many different iterations and several destructions. We know for a fact that several different models exist. One of the first times it's seen, or at least one of the first times, because I'm sure there were other instances as well in expanded media, but on television, it's first destroyed in Smith & Jones when it's burnt out by the X-ray machine, but then at the end of the episode the 10th Doctor's got another version that looks exactly the same, but it's a brand new one. And then after that, it is destroyed once again during the events of the 11th hour, when the 11th Doctor uses it, and it gets burnt out again. Then, after the events of the 11th hour, the 12th Doctor gives River her modified version, so that's another version that's known to exist. And then, in Series 10, in the pilot, the 12th Doctor is shown to have a version of this Sonic in the pot on his desks, along with all the past Sonics, including the 5th Doctor's Sonic, which was most notably destroyed in the Visitation. So it's proof that several versions of this Sonic exist. So for all we know, during the events of TimeLord Victorious, because we still don't have the full narrative at the time of recording, this version of the Sonic, this TimeLord Victorious version, it might get destroyed. Maybe its creation will be unwritten. You know, there's so many reasons as to why the 10th Doctor would go back to using a normal one during the End of Time. You know, maybe he specifically modified this one that is then no longer of use to him afterwards, so he just gets a standard normal version. This creation of this Sonic does absolutely nothing to the continuity that hasn't been done before, so people using that as an excuse to have a go at the series, I'm sorry, but you're just wrong, and it just shows that you're saying, oh, it ruins continuity, but if you'd paid attention to the continuity, you'd know it hasn't ruined the continuity. So that says more about you personally. I'm just want to get that little bit of a mini rant out there, because it has annoyed me slightly that people are really having to go at this and really trying to pick this apart to that level. Yes, I will admit that the market is being a bit oversaturated by TimeLord Victorious stuff at the moment, but to make it, to try and use the show as a reason against that, especially in a incorrect way, as saying that this Sonic ruins the continuity, is just silly, But that brings to a close my mini rant, and brings to a close this custom figure showcase, TimeLord Victorious. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. Be sure to check the description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation, and you can get involved. There's exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and funding my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.